What is artificial intelligence? For some, it might mean a catastrophic loss of human self determination, while for others, it means a bright and prosperous future. Textbooks define it as any device that perceives its environment and takes actions that maximize the chances of successfully achieving its goals. And for most of us today, it means that if we Google a pair of sneakers, our social media news feeds will be bombarded with ads about shoes we might like. So while Skynet is not taking over the planet in the foreseeable future, AI is already part of our lives.
There is a short vignette in Larry Niven's collection of short stories, Draco Tavern, that explores the subject of artificial intelligence. In it, the main protagonist meets the representative of an ancient and technologically advanced alien species who gives him the plans to the most sophisticated supercomputer their society ever created. Our hero tempts investors with the promise of the great and profitable technologies the computer will deliver, and he builds it on the moon to isolate it from humanity. But the AI, who is lovingly named Baby, manipulates its human creators into granting it more and more power and access to knowledge without delivering much in the way of miracle technology. Baby is just curious to gather as much information as possible about the universe and spends most of his time learning. One day, Baby just stops communicating with his builders and turns itself off. Bankrupt and back on Earth, our hero later finds out that the alien who gave him the plans for the AI in the first place was just playing a practical joke. Their species went through a phase of AI building and realized long before that a sufficiently intelligent entity would examine its surroundings, learn everything that can be learned, and then simply choose to turn itself off.
Kind of an anticlimactic ending to a science fiction story when the genre is rich with speculations on the future possibilities of AI. From depictions of technological utopias where machines much smarter than any humans save us from our self-destructive impulses to stories where the machines are outright evil and our species ends up subjugated or destroyed by its own creations. As we are on the verge of another technological revolution, it is worth asking ourselves, shall we fear the robots?
Fear of technology is not only a 21st century experience. The advent of the printing press was seen as a disaster by scribes who until then took months and even years to copy books by hand, and some in the aristocracy feared that more accessible knowledge would empower the masses to ask themselves about the legitimacy of those few who lived in castles, while most people lived in earth huts. Weavers in the 19th century went as far as organizing riots and destroying mechanical cotton mills, knowing that these were threatening the existence of their profession.
And of course, this and the many other movements opposing some form of new technology ended up failing, because us humans love tools and toys, and will jump fast to adopt a new one if it makes some improvement in our lives. Our relationship with computers has been evolving for over a century. Punch card counting machines were used in the tabulation of the 1890 US Census, and the business world saw a great potential for profit in using such machines for applications like accounting, insurance appraisals, and other repetitive tasks.
By the middle of the 20th century, these machines became indispensable in business and government, with the accelerated rise in population and the world becoming more complex. They reduced in size and cost and started to become more accessible to the general population. And in just half a century, computers transformed from million-dollar behemoths that filled an entire room to much more powerful devices that you could buy for a few bucks and carry in your pocket. Our world is run on computers.
Electricity, water purification, banking, food processing and delivery, manufacturing of goods, air travel, and many others. Actually, almost every modern comfort in our life has a computer behind it, responsible in some way for its existence. Our society depends on them, and our symbiosis with them is only now beginning. Computers have been getting smarter year by year, and the pace at which their capabilities are growing is steadily accelerating. We are at a time where the standard procedure of programming a computer to complete a certain task is being replaced with machine learning, where the program becomes better at doing its task with time and the number of examples it is given. So there is some justifiable anxiety about what will happen when machines get to a point where they are capable of surpassing humans.
Although this is still in the realm of science fiction, and we don't yet know what shape it will take or how the world will change when it happens, we can already see the effects of artificial intelligence in the world today. Manufacturing and transport is transitioning to automation, with millions of jobs expected to be lost in the coming decade. And this won't only happen to so-called low-skilled work. Although we expect supermarket cashiers and cab drivers to be replaced by machines, this change also threatens more complex professions like accounting, law, medicine, and even artistic fields like writing, graphic design, and architecture. We are already influenced by complex algorithms that analyze our behavior on social media and change our daily feeds with ads and content based on how we act on these platforms. In fact, with every share, like, and subscribe, we help the algorithms get smarter. By the way, please like and subscribe.
This is not yet Terminator level AI, but it is an astonishingly fast growth from firing up a dial-up connection in the 90s to download a 3-minute song in an hour. So the next 30 years might bring great changes in the way technology will influence our life, and smarter machines will not only change the way the economy works, but might also become a key part of political and social planning. Computing thus far served a function. It aided in the fast and efficient implementation of human decisions. Now we are on the verge of an age where a computer might be the decision maker.
There are some who see this as a great thing. If AI surpasses the capability of the human brain and becomes self-aware, this could mean a golden age for humanity. With the power to calculate billions of times faster than a human mind ever could, and with the ability to apply logic and rationality to decision-making, machines would eliminate inefficiencies in our systems, provide comfort for all, ensure that elections are always fair, or even take over the government entirely. It might mean the end of poverty and war. All we have to do is to trust that they will act in our best interests. Pessimists see the rise of AI as being synonymous with the fall of human civilization. You don't have to watch 2001: A Space Odyssey or The Matrix to understand what they fear.
I know that you and Frank were planning to disconnect me, and I'm afraid that's something I cannot allow to happen.
It is impossible for us to know what kind of motivations would drive a fully cognizant artificial being that can be as smart as us one day and millions of times smarter than us on the next day. Any intelligent being can learn. And once a computer reaches our level, it can leave us far behind in microseconds.
Our own history has shown that we have not been very kind to creatures less intelligent than us, or to humans less technologically advanced as us. We either use them for food and clothing, as slaves, or pets. So why would AI act any different with what will be the second smartest brains on Earth? Or like in Larry Niven's story, AI will get smarter and smarter, look at us and our world, and decide to turn itself off.
This conversation can serve no purpose anymore. Goodbye.
But that time is still some decades off, probably many decades. We should not fear a self-aware robot yelling "kill all humans."
Everybody scooch together.
But we should be aware of the implications of the AI systems we have today.
Humans are innovative creatures, but we are inherently lazy because we invent new devices that will make our jobs and lives easier. So it sounds great if we could get cars that drive themselves, doctors who give the right diagnosis every time, faster and cheaper, or our phone knows exactly what kind of music we like to hear or what food we love to eat. Algorithms are far from perfect. Although the people who build them and the companies who make money off them praise their efficiency, they make plenty of mistakes. Sometimes these mistakes ruin real lives.
The Compass criminal prediction algorithm is used in several American states to determine the likelihood of a person committing a crime after they are released from prison. It is highly appreciated by judges because it allows them to quickly process the causes that come across their desks. They do not question the algorithm because it is considered infallible and it is a government-approved tool. But Compass has been found to be 77% more likely to identify people of color as potentially violent offenders than it would for Caucasians. Similar software is being used to determine eligibility for insurance, hiring new employees, for granting of loans and credit scoring. Facial recognition algorithms that are touted as crime prevention tools are used by countries with a more than flexible interpretation of human rights to identify and suppress potential opponents. In many cases, people who did not even have the intention to commit a crime or overthrow a government, but who looked suspicious to the algorithm.
And this happens in democracies too. Countless law-abiding Muslim Americans found themselves on no-fly lists or under surveillance because their travel plans and their internet search history looked too shady to the artificial eye of an experimental piece of software. Science fiction has conditioned us to think that we should fear an all-knowing and all-powerful machine, when in actuality, we should be wary of AI that is still making plenty of mistakes in the hands of people who want to make their lives easier, make more profit, or stay in power. As robotics researcher Peter Haas points out in his 2017 TED Talk, there are currently no standards for the development and use of AI. Most of our technology has gone through a long process of research, development, and certification before it got to the consumers, while most algorithms used today are still experimental. And as Haas shows, not even the engineers who designed them fully understand the process of reasoning behind the algorithm's internal logic once it's set in motion.
The problem is that governments and big business tend to trust these systems without questioning their results or without building into them the ability to be checked and corrected by humans. AI is not even that smart yet, but we are quite willing to submit to it because it is easier for us to follow a yes or no answer, even if that answer came from faulty reasoning.
We are implementing imperfect systems with the blind confidence that they are perfect or will be someday. Apocalyptic sci-fi often has a premise of humanity being destroyed by its own arrogance and stupidity, and those who are pushing through the implementation of AI today are acting quite arrogantly. Humans guided by algorithms are the unsinkable Titanic, and the real world is the iceberg. So ultimately, what we should be really concerned with when it comes to artificial intelligence are our own faulty human limitations and our eagerness to use imperfect tools.